I'm Ben Edwards, and you're listening to The Heart of It. A few years ago, life humbled me and made me take a long, hard look at my choices. One day, you're going to hear a lot of things about me. Some of those things I can't talk about right now, but I had to make a lot of changes. I lived a life fueled by shame, and shame cannot survive being spoken about. It needs these three things to survive: secrecy, silence, and judgment. So I made the decision to start talking about these things, and I'd like to invite you to listen to how that played out. This is the therapy that I never thought that I needed. Let's get to the heart of it.
With what you said there is more so the way that you're happy to admit that you're not the victim, you're the loser. Like, out of everything you've just said, that bit was like, I fucking wish my dad would say that. Because it takes any man can make a mistake. And mistakes, and I don't know what it is exactly, but fucking men make fucking whopping mistakes. Whopping mistakes. It takes a man to admit that he's wrong, and then it takes a man to work his absolute bollocks off to reconcile or fix the situation. Do you know what I mean? And you're doing that, inevitably working on yourself first, which is a massive point of call. Something I was talking to my client this morning. You can't expect yourself to be able to fucking look after anyone if you aren't looking after yourself. Like, there's this whole mentality of like, looking after number one, and it's almost come across as like a selfish thing. Like, always look after number one. They're absolutely fucking right. They're absolutely right.
Well, I think the fire service, self-team task.
Yeah.
Literally that, if you can't read saving no one if your person who you're doing it with, the BAE operator, is not good, and you can't do that if you aren't.
100%. How can I coach the people that I coach and be a dad and be a husband and be there for my mum? Because, as I'm sure you can imagine, mum's found the things recently very, very much very difficult. I mean, she lost her mum 2 weeks ago. Funeral's tomorrow.
Sorry, man.
It's fine. I get. As a quick flip side to that is I get quite a lot of comfort knowing that my nan is with my granddad now. So tomorrow, for me, although very sad, the funeral will be very much a celebration in my head. That's where she needs to be. She literally waited the last 9 years. So, but yeah, you can't reach out. You can blag it, and fucking hell, as men, we will try. And you have. I've watched you do it, where full well that you're not all right. I even remember the old version of you, which is quite fucking refreshing to say, mate, to be fair. Sat work after, I don't know, it was before or after we'd been working together. And it was after, because you'd produced some fucking content that day. We'd really gone there, and you'd put some gold out, some stuff that's like, fucking hell, Ben, like, this is really going to help some people. And then you went on to tell me about how much diazepam you take to go to sleep. And I had this moment on the drive home, because there was the bloke that used to own the gym that I used to work in. We will definitely not mention any names. But he was that guy as well. He was sat there telling everyone in the gym what they needed to do. This fucking amazing coach and whatever. But I knew, behind closed doors, he's not that fucking guy. The worst kind of narcissistic prick you've ever come across. Racist, sexist, the fucking lot. Horrible human being. Someone that no one needs to be around, right? But then he'd put this facade on, go out onto the gym floor, coach some classes, do this, do that. And everyone thought he was brilliant. Quite a few people saw through his bullshit really quickly, inevitably. He's blagging it. But they didn't know to what extent this guy was like. And I had this realization after hearing you like that, where I'm like, how many fucking people are out there like this? Am I like this? Am I saying one thing to my clients and then doing another thing myself?
Practice, not preach.
100%. And I'm like, this doesn't sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with me at all. And it wasn't long after then I handed in my notice. at that gym, stopped coaching per se, because I thought that, I didn't think I was a very good coach, which was me being in denial. I am a good coach. I'm a fucking good coach, to be honest. And then just wanting to get away from it all and try and live a normal life. Mainly just to focus on myself and fix all the problems from 2017. I actually wanted to be a postman. That was my goal, because I'm in my van, I deliver my letters, I don't work with anyone. No one really relies on me. Do you know what I mean? And then if I work fast, I'll be done at 2:30. I can go home. Do you know what I mean? It was like that. It's a good job. Pay was terrible. Right, a good job. I ended up working out in the countryside. On public footpaths and bridle ways and stuff like that. Very similar. Out on my own with a strimmer, hedge cutter, smashing down trees, building bridges and stuff like that. Amazing. The best environment for me to fix my mental health. And I don't think he'll watch this, but if he does, Rob Minute, you saved my fucking life, bro. Like he's one of the three individuals that in particular saved my life, and Rob was one of them without knowing, and I didn't know he was doing that at the time. Like, he just gave me a job. Do you know what I mean? Gave me a job. He was a client in the gym. And I asked him about a tractor's license, because I'd seen an advert for a job, and I knew that there was tractors involved with his job. And I said, you need a license for tractors? Well, he's like, what's drive a tractor? He's like, no, some companies might require you to have one, but you don't have to have one by law. So as long as you've got a driving license, you can even drive one on a provisional. I was like, oh, right. He's like, why? I was like, my mate was asking me about applying for a job or whatever. I thought I'd ask you. And he knew. He texted me at about fucking 1 o'clock in the morning that night. He's like, that job for your mate? I said, yeah. He said, is it you? And he fucking knew. And he reached out to me. He's like, I've got the perfect job for you. And talk about perfect, it was perfect. And I hadn't sat down and told Rob, how much I was struggling or anything like that. That guy just has a natural way of caring for people. And he gave me that job as leverage to, find myself again, allow me to dip my foot back into coaching, albeit a good few years later. And then when I sat down and said to him, like, at the end of this year, I mean, this was in January, I was like, at the end of this year, I'm going to use the majority of this year, but in December, I'm going to hand in my notice. I'm not going to come back the following year. I'm going to go back into coaching full time. So I got you back 110%. What boss says that? Normally like, oh, right, okay. Even though it's a year's notice, they're like, oh, I've got to try and find someone else. I'll do this. No.
A couple of points come up for me. I was speaking to someone, I can't remember who it was. It was on the podcast, I think. I used to not want to text people that I was thinking about them or anything like that, because I thought, who are they going to think? Who is this guy? Why is he bothering me?
Yeah.
Like, even with praise, some sort of praise for someone, I think patronising wanker.
Yeah.
And then now I do it all the time now. Literally all the time do it, because people go, thanks so much. I needed that little thing, that moment, just to say something or just to let me know you're on the right track. Yeah. The right people will receive it with how you mean it, if you actually mean it.
If you actually mean it. If it comes from this and not from this, it goes down well. And yeah.
You never see, this quote's been obviously rinsed all over the internet, you never see a hater who's doing better than you.
No.
When I logged onto my social media a couple of weeks ago and I saw you, literally I logged in and about 10 seconds later I saw your thing, and 3 more seconds after that I messaged you and was like, man, so happy to see what you're doing. I was literally like, I'm so glad you're doing that stuff and you've got a successful coaching business now. So happy for you. I've always thought you're such a great guy.
Thank you, bro.
Always. And I'm so happy for you to see that. And I know obviously other struggles. And now listening to you talking about how you coach clients and bringing that value, you've been such a disservice to the world if you hadn't done that and put yourself out and do the things you do. Awesome.
Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate that. I really do.
And sharing like this, like say you inspired me back then to be better.
Yeah.
And this is it. I think if more people, men, I was saying this before I came on here because I told my friend who you are and what we're probably going to talk about. These men's groups, I'd have been like, hey, back in the day. I still am like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the kind of the sort of angle, I guess, in my own head or whatever is when I'm now talking to mostly men about these things we've just been talking about. As you can now appreciate, when I share some of that story with people, they're like, if you're saying what you're saying, and that's what you had happen, like you must mean that, and it carries weight. I'm certainly not saying I'm perfect in any stretch. Like, this is what I thought, acted like, did, and let me play out what happened. So you do you, but And I think it's from the feedback I've had, people are like, oh, mate, when you say things like that, it's like, fucking makes me think, like, what?
Yeah.
I think, because I've had obviously thoughts, you know, is this a good idea?
Yep.
You know, and not saying about me, but all the factors of why whether it's a good idea or not a good idea. Obviously, I can't share all now, but I think it's so important to like give the other side. And so when I mean the other side, I don't mean rationalise and justify any of it. I mean the other side of, this is what I was thinking and how I got to that decision.
Yeah.
This is why I was wrong. And I get it. And like, you know, when I'm sure you will read the book in the future when it's finished and ready, people who have seen certain parts or you know, listen to me talk about it are like, they're upset when I talk about things. Because people in the past thought I had no feelings. I was just very good at burying them. Yeah. I had them the same, like I'm sure you had. That's what you did, feelings. They just express them in different ways and people can't understand where you're coming from a lot of the time. And as you said, there must be so many other people out there who are like, is this just me? Yeah. Is this just me? Yep. Because I've not met people until I started talking about this stuff who were like, oh, me too. Yeah. That's a massive comfort from when someone goes, oh, no, me too.
So the scary thing for me is when I worked in a trade environment with these typical men, tradesmen, Ivies, top to bottom, you know, big bellies, you know the score. Once they'd, you know, the new guy and blah, 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 pass a few months on, they've all got me on social media. They see what they do, see what I do, see what I talk about, see how vulnerable I allow myself to be on camera, talking about my mental health struggles, talking about how to help people with theirs and so on. The scary part then is watching one by one all of these men come through the fucking woodwork. Yeah. Like, you know, the one guy on the yard that everyone thinks, oh, fucking dickhead. He's like, fucking lazy bastard, don't do your shit, blah, blah. And then comes to me and he's like, watched your video the other day. I'm like, all right, what one? Thinking it's probably going to be a leg press video. You know, fucking lot of weight you got on there, like typical bullshit conversation. He's like, no, that one you talked about, you know, struggling in your head and that. I'm like, yeah. Guy just melts in front of you. Oh my God. He's like, I've been like it for years, mate. And then he starts telling you and he's like, I felt like I wanted to leave, but I didn't know whether leaving's a good idea. Should I stay with my family? But, you know, these men, they're fucking miserable. They're so miserable. But they won't talk about it. They won't open up about it. They don't want to come across as weak, especially that generation. I mean, what the most disgusting statistic is, and I don't know the exact numbers because I try not to focus on it too much, but how many men kill themselves in the UK.
Oh, it's wild, isn't it?
And then the percentage of that, the majority percent are men aged between 40 and 65.
Wild.
And it was those were the blokes that I was working with. Yeah. You know, I'm at the works Christmas party and this lad's come bowling up to me and he's steaming, you know, and you're like, oh my God. Mickey, his name is, absolute legend of a lad. Came up to me, he's got his head down, he's drunk. He rests his head on my shoulder and I'm like, you're all right, Mickey. Flicks his eyes up at me, streaming. So I just want to end it all, Ben. And I'm like, and then I realised once I said to Mickey, I took him outside, I made him make me a promise. I said, tomorrow morning I'm going to drop you a text. And he was like, right. I said, promise me you're going to reply. Because in my head, I'm like, I don't know where this lad's going to go when he gets in his taxi. I don't know where he's going to go when he gets home. I don't want everyone in this building to know what's going on. I don't want to create any drama. He doesn't want any attention. He's come to me for a reason. So go home, go to your wife, go to bed. I'm going to text you in the morning. You're going to fucking reply. And we shook hands. He made a promise. I'm like, I just hope there's a bit of him that's still sober that fucking remembers that. First thing in the morning, I text him. I said, right, we need to get you some help. And he's like, just replied, yes, please. Oh, what help was I going to get him? Like, literally got Scooby. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Like, this has worked. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I then went to my boss and had a chat with him. I don't want my boss to know that I've told him. I was like, maybe pull Mickey in for a chat, you know, and tell him that you've noticed him a bit down. Is he all right? Do you know, whatever, see if you can go in that way. And me and the boss had a bit of a chat between us and we found a therapist in Lincoln and sent Mickey to the therapist. And I think his name's Mark. I don't know if you've ever come across him, Mark Marsland. I don't know whether he's great or not, so I don't want to say, but he certainly fucking helped Mickey and turn the corner with a poor lad.
There's such a stigma around it, isn't there?
Yeah.
People are really interesting. I tell people, do therapy, still do therapy every week. I have done for now the last however many years now.
Amazing.
Still think it's absolutely awesome. Even though so I was about to not stop, I was about to add something else in to sort of tackle a new area, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then next face down moment where I'm like trying to wrestle through this next thing, and the work is ongoing. Always. And there's no, it wasn't as drastic as obviously some of the stuff previously. I tell people openly, I don't think there's anything to be shameful about. I think it's the best thing ever that what happened for me and how it all went down and how I've been helped. And as soon as you tell people, literally, I'm clockwork with this. I tell people, and within the next few lines of the text messages or the conversation, they're like, I've been thinking about how do you get one? How does it work?
Yeah.
All people just need, I feel like people are desperate for someone who can pave the way, is not the right word, but yeah, like I did this. Because they don't know how to ask or look, or it's an emotionally scary thing. Like, of course, you'd go on Google and find it. But like you said, losing weight is easy.
Yeah.
But it's not that's not the strategy. That's not the problem. It's some emotional thing.
Yeah.
And just saying to somebody, let's get some help, or I did this thing. Well, how about I try this? It's huge to people. And I also think, all of what you're just saying, I totally agree with. But I also feel like the women who live with the men or have the men in their life, sons, brothers, partners, who are struggling, they've got no idea how to cope and help.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as in in any way that could be taken out of context. I mean,
you're absolutely right.
Men are very different, and different types of men are obviously very different.
Yeah.
But women try and help in women ways, bless them, often, and it's not the way that the man needs help, and it's not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know any of it. I was told many things throughout my time. Never thought me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Me was a lot. In fact, a lot.
Yeah.
So I think people are hurting, man.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. And then hurt people. It's just going on and on and on. And that's why I wrote something in the book, and I wrote a letter to someone. And I was like, this has got to, help me to stop this. I appreciate, I won't go into all the things. This has got to, some cycle's already broken. And it, as you said about what I just said to you previously, someone's got to say something. And unfortunately qualified from mistakes to be able to say I did all this stuff.
Yeah.
And this is what else I did afterwards.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to be able to do that.
Yeah. Like when you're saying about wives, brothers, daughters, whoever, people at home not knowing how to help, something that I'd love to do, and I will do, once I've got my coaching business handled a little bit better, is I'd love to be able to get out and speak to groups of men, police force, fire, ambulance, tradesmen, the fucking lot. I want to be able to go round to them and talk to them, because not only is there, when you're stood there, 6'3", 20 stone, burly man, talking to them, saying that it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to be quiet. Do you know what I mean? But then also stand there and say, look, if you're sat in this room and you find in this chat somewhat boring because you're one of the fucking lucky ones that doesn't struggle with everything, there are men out there that have no mental health issues whatsoever, right? They've got a fucking responsibility to ask whether their mates are all right. Not, morning, you're right. And it's drop them a message at night time and ask them if they're genuinely fucking okay.
And it's the culture. If me and you were sat at a table and someone turned up and said, oh, this is what's going on for me, and they're with their mate, and we're not, what are you doing about that?
Yeah.
We'd be like, well, are you going to do something?
Yeah.
It's just to settle that stuff. What are you doing?
Yeah.
That would be the values that we'd be like, well, you best be doing it. Look, if you're not going to work, we will.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think people haven't got that. No one's prepared to step up, or they don't even know they need to.
Yeah.
Because they never have that.
It goes back to what you're saying about everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
That bloke who's fine, who's sitting next to his mate who's not, but they don't know, the bloke that's not suffering doesn't know how to approach that. Doesn't know. And then if he turns around to his mate and he says, no, you actually all right though, mate? He's like, no, mate, not been good with the missus for a long time and I've been struggling and whatever. It starts really going in, talking about it. The other bloke's going to sit there like that, rabbit in headlights on.
And that's why I think, you know, people who have been through things, they have a very different ability to hold space because not just through judgment, but through like when you really have been through it, you can sit and, you know, people share stuff with me that's, you know, on another planet.
Yeah.
They feel like I can hold it.
Yeah.
One of my friends said to me once, I was like, I was frustrated about something. And they were like, what you're doing though, Ben, is you're expecting somebody else to be able to show up like you can show up for people. Yeah. People haven't been through what you've been through.
Exactly. It goes back to what I said to you about people. My missus reminded me that people don't think like me. You know, something if I'm honest, something I've struggled with a lot recently is I get really, really fucking upset when people don't care like I do. Because I really give a fuck.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. 2 things. These conversations are sometimes quite long, so we've split them into 2 parts. To get access to part 2, plus all the behind the scenes and never before seen footage and exclusive material before anybody else, hit the subscribe button now and download your free VIP studio pass into your mobile wallet. To do that, go to theheartofitpodcast.com/pass. Second thing, as you can see, I'm in a purpose-built studio. I'm a coach and I'm recording a podcast to grow our audience, reach new people, all whilst building trust and authority in our niche. This studio is owned by a 7-figure coach, a company that I'm partnered with who help other coaches to grow and scale their coaching businesses online. If you're a coach, author, speaker, or expert in your field, and you'd like to see how the performance of this podcast translates into business revenue, as well as how much we make from the YouTube monetization and podcast sponsorship deals, just like this one, download the Podcast to Profit Guide, which you can do at theheartofitpodcast.com/podcast profit. Now, back to the episode.
You know, something if I'm honest, something I've struggled with a lot recently is I get really, really fucking upset when people don't care like I do. Because I really give a fuck. Like really, arguably too much in certain situations with certain people. You know, and it's when I don't feel as though those feelings are replicated, then you feel these insecurities start to creep in. You're like, maybe I'm the problem. Like maybe I'm not the person I think I am that doesn't deserve the care that I'm prepared to give to someone that I barely know. You know, someone drops into my DMs with a paragraph like that, you know, struggling. They're going to get my number. I'm going to get them straight onto WhatsApp. We're going to exchange voice notes, or I'm going to give them a call, or, you know, if I can help, I fucking will. You know, but that level of care for myself oftentimes isn't, you know, reciprocated. I don't know if that's the right word. Like, I don't see it back. And that's definitely something I've 100% struggled with a lot just recently, trying to muddle my way through that. But it comes back to exactly what you just said, like, you know, what's that guy doing about it?
But what's coming up with that is, I don't know if you're a believer in God or the universe.
I'm not, but go on.
You just said you've been struggling with that. And now I come straight into you and say, hey, mate, let's catch up. I'm such a believer now.
Yeah, I guess maybe like when you said believer in the universe, I have no idea what that means. I do actually. When my mum was dealing with the breakup with my dad, one of the biggest things that I kept anchoring and reminding her was, I don't know how, I don't know why, but shit will just work itself out. You just have to be fucking patient, which is hard. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not just wait, chill out, you know, have a bath, have a glass of wine. Tomorrow's a different day. It ain't that simple.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
But if you do wait and you are patient and you don't quit on that fucking chapter like I nearly did, things will work themselves out.
It is really tough. Like, it's really tough to sit in a house on a beanbag on your own with nothing. And when I say nothing, you're still sat like in West Bridgeford in Nottingham.
Yeah.
But when you've had what I've had, it's a lot.
Because what's crazy is, and hopefully if there's any listeners that I want to make this really, really clear, Ben went through a lot to find yourself on a beanbag on your own. Nothing happened to me. And I wanted to take my own life. No one left me. I still had my job. I still had a good career ahead of me. You know, no one had hurt me. If anything, I'd lived what most people call a privileged life up until that point, which is why, for me, that was so unbelievably fucking terrifying, because I had no idea why that was happening to me.
Yeah, I was just saying, I can imagine people think, what's so bad then? I'm thinking, fucking at least I had a reason. I was like, well, I can understand why this is happening. I feel like this. You were sat there going,
I couldn't make ends meet. I couldn't work it out.
Yeah.
You know, and the missus used to say to me, she's like, why are you so anxious? What is it? What are you worried about? I'm like, fucking hell, if I knew, I probably wouldn't be so anxious.
Yeah.
Because I'm a problem solver. Do you know what I mean? Tell me what the problem is, and I'll go, wow, right, let's start to pick this apart. Let's figure this out. Because that's what I do with my clients. But for myself, in that situation, in that setting, and that's what made that terrifying, is I had everything that I wanted, but I found myself not on a beanbag, but on a crash barrier, thinking about jumping over a bridge, thinking that I had nothing. Like, just like you'd gone from everything to nothing. I still had everything, but I was adamant it wasn't worth living for, and I had nothing. And it just goes to show that, like, and it doesn't matter what's happened to you. If anything, if you're unfortunate like me and fuck all had happened, you just wind up like that. But if you are someone that, you know, hears about, you know, what Ben's been through or what someone else has been through, a car, I often refer to like a traffic accident that involves a death and this, that, and the other, traumatic, PTSD, brutal. And then you're sat there because you've got a boss at work that's a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? It does. If that's the biggest thing that's happened in your life up to date, like, that's enough to tear someone down in a huge way. You know, comparatively, compared to the car accident, it's fuck all. You know, and we can look at that and be like, come on, mate. But actually, for that individual, they're experiencing that the same way that I experienced what I experienced in 17 and what you experience, what you go through. The sensations can be exactly the fucking same.
And that's why I stress that to people, that I don't, when you say what you say, I don't think for 1 second, oh, I've been through more. Yeah. I'm like, because I know for a fact you've experienced it in the same way. It's not about the situation. 100%. You're just feeling the same thing. If you felt how I felt and you had no reason for it, fucking hell, it scared the shit out of me even more. And I think then, we were just saying there, there's something in the PTSD thing. It's very hard to relate when you haven't got a thing. So, you know, people talk about coming back from war, and I'm certainly not saying I didn't go to war. I didn't have any of that. But I tell you now, mate, I was waking up in the night for months, 2 or 3 times at least a night, screaming, whether I was actually screaming out loud or moving like I was screaming. Yeah. Oh my God, that's scary, that is. That is like, as you said, don't go to sleep. Yeah. I still could sleep. Yeah. But that is like, your brain is doing something to you. Still sometimes get them now. Yeah. You know, it's
like, as an example, and it's not related to PTSD, I don't believe, but at 6 p.m. when I was coaching, I would start sweating and I'd shake and start to feel really anxious, because that started a 4-hour countdown for when I had to be home. Like, that time, like a witching hour. I wouldn't even need to look at the clock. And I'd be chatting in the gym, busy, and I'm like my fucking back's wet. And I'm like, 6 o'clock. Like, what is that all about?
Then that feeling makes you then spiral, right?
Yeah, I'm like, here we go, right, that's a fucking countdown. And that was there, you know, that would follow up by then the drive home, and I would do everything in my power. I'd be listening to classical music on the way home. I'm like, fine, I'm fine, you're fine. You know, you just go home, sit on the driveway, like, just 10 minutes, have 10 minutes, try and watch something funny on my phone, watch some cat playing the piano or something, you know, settle. And I feel all right, let's go indoors. And I get into bed and I try and not move. I get in a certain position, tell the missus not to touch me. I put my arm over my head. I just lay perfectly still. It was like, almost like a kid trying to hide under the covers. If I don't move, then this won't happen. You know, and that's what anxiety does to you. You know, performance anxiety. I mean, a natural bodybuilder springs to mind, Jack Thornburn. I've never seen it so bad, bless him. Like, if you see him in the gym, you'd think he's got Tourette's syndrome. Really? Yeah. When we wrap up, I'll show you some of his stuff. If you could get him on, mate. I mean, he's hard to talk to about it because he's a typical Welsh boy and he doesn't soften up. Do you know what I mean? He won't let it there's one video of him when he was on prep that he filmed, didn't release, and then released afterwards.
Yeah.
Crying and talking about performance anxiety and stuff. But even to now, you know, Jack, I can't imagine he'll see this, but if he does, bruv, you're a mess and you need to get some help. Like, you go in the gym now, he thinks he's having a really good session because in relation to what he's done before, it's improving. It's not good. It's covered in bruises. He's smashing himself on equipment because if he hurts himself, the anxiety drops away and he can get a set done. The geezer is so passionate about his bodybuilding that he won't give it up. And there's no drugs involved there, people. He is 100% natural, competes in a natural federation. Yeah, he is. Jax, you can tell he is. He's a good boy. He's the sort of kid that I think if someone gave him a bottle of gear, he'd drink it. Yeah, like a whole nother level of trying to stamp out demons, like the physical embodiment of it, to the point where people that don't know take the piss out of him, you know, and it's been, videos of him have been thrown around online. Like, what the fuck is this?
People are anchors, aren't they?
People Yeah.
I was going to say, when you're saying all that, the people around you are critical. Absolutely critical. I listened to something businessy, and they were talking about their mentor, and they said, I know what your biggest problem is. Come back to me in a year and I'll tell you. So she went back in a year. What's your biggest problem? And she said, people. He went, I could have told you it's people. People. Good and bad. All of what you've just been describing, and obviously what I've gone through, and then obviously where I'm at now. Some of the people in my life now, I mean, obviously some of the people who used to be in my life also, but I'm obviously now very, very grateful and show them a lot. Unbelievable people. Like, when you do show yourself to people, when you know how to do that, which is something I didn't used to know how to do, the love that I've now received from people, from sharing my deepest and darkest flaws and all, when you are fucked, or you at least feel fucked, God, the amount of people who've shown up for me in the ways that you wouldn't even be able to imagine. Unbelievably blessed. I don't think it's no, I feel obviously grateful that they're like that. But if someone's listening to this and they don't have, like you had your partner, I was on my own at points, but I've forced myself in some way to go and meet all these new people and throw myself out there, you know, Ben Edwards style, head first into the storm.
Yeah.
If they don't have that, they don't have those people, how are they going to get someone or people to help them or to guide them and get them out of situations where they might have a dad, like you said, or a friend, or who is conducive to a bad environment? What would you say to that?
That is the only time where I'm incredibly passionate about social media. That is the only time where I love social media, is to be able to use the reach to be able to help people. I mean, now it's become an absolute minefield. It's almost impossible to get decent reach now.
It's really interesting, right? I don't disagree with you. I absolutely love social media. And I never used to. I couldn't care less about it before. It was a money-making tool, that was it. Because everything was a money-making tool to me.
Yeah.
Social media now, I guess just from my lens, where I'm at in my head, I only look at the people who I look at.
Yeah.
Because it shows you the people you look at more.
Yes.
I've got a businessy one, so it's like all customised to what I want to do, because otherwise it's a big chaos. I look at those things. I'm not influenced by stuff.
Yeah.
Don't really watch dog reels, you know.
Yeah.
I find it incredible because people, as I said to you before, they look at my story, they look at my stuff, and they get stuff from it. The level of connection you can have when you share, because other people want to live like certainly how I live, so they say. Right? They want to be getting up earlier, they want to be training, they want to
100%,
be... And everyone's demonising, and I can see why. But it's showing you who you are. It's showing, like Gary Vee says this, right? Social media is not making people worse. It's exposing who you are.
Yeah.
And I think when I'm on there, like I use it for the reason I use it for. I love it for the same reason you said about connecting with people and sharing with people you don't know. Powerful, powerful stuff. I just think that this is the same as perspective, right? You can have a look at one thing, whether it's social media or it's training or whatever. You can look at one thing one way and then look at like the intent you're trying to get from it. Like, if you're looking for validation from there, you're going to start behaving in a way that you think is going to get at you.
Yeah.
And like the thing I learned the most is like, I'm doing me. Because I've got to. I can't be doing anyone else or doing anything for anyone else. I've got to do me.
Yeah.
And then when someone else says something to me and I'm now very sure of my values, my boundaries, my standards and what I've written in the book, I'm like, You do you, mate.
Yeah.
You disagree with me. I'm like, I wouldn't be trying to convince you the other way. I think, you do you, mate.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. When you come back a year later, I'm still going to be doing this.
Yeah.
Doing it this way.
Yeah.
You do your thing.
Yeah.
All power to you.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
And when you're ready,
yeah,
I fucking guarantee you're going to be.
Yeah.
You're going to see what I've said was somehow played out for you.
Yeah.
And I'm over here, mate, ready for you.
Yeah.
I don't go that way anymore. I used to be trying to convince people that my way was the way, and like I said, I don't think I used to tear people down to say my way was better. I don't think I was ever that way. I really dislike those posts that say you don't have to get up at this time, or you don't. You do whatever you like. If it suits you to get up like Jeff Bezos, he's done all right, and put around in the morning and don't get to a meeting until 10, you do that.
Yeah.
If you like getting up at 5 and it gets you after the day like I do, you do that. You do whatever works for you. If you ask me to improve it, I might say, hey, why don't you try this or why don't you try that? Don't say, just do it like my way.
Yeah.
I want to help people. Like whatever way is right for them versus telling people that they should be doing this or they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you should do. I don't fucking know what you should do.
No. You've got to do what genuinely makes you happy. As long as you're not hurting anyone, you've got to do what genuinely makes you happy. Not necessarily what you think you should be doing. You know, like for example, I'm obviously an avid gym goer, have been for a long time.
Not noticed.
Can't train first thing in the morning.
Oh, no?
No. You know, when people are like, they love to get in the gym, fasted, they get their training done, they love it. It's just not for me, man.
You know, afternoon?
2:00, yeah.
Obviously, I'm in bed. I've done it, like, someone told me this the other day, I didn't realise this, which sounds quite silly. At 2:00, I've done an 8-hour workday. And I'm like, it's like equivalent. You finish at 5:30 and being like, ready?
Yeah.
Like, you'd be fucked, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at 2:00, I'm like, I'm winding down now because I've been at it from 5.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I'm the same, but like first thing I do in the morning is I walk my dogs.
Yeah.
Because I'm the most creative and the most functional in my head.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So I walk my dogs, and it's during that dog walk where I'll come up with ideas, business ideas, content when I'm walking the dogs, and I'll write on my phone as I'm walking the dogs, or voice note it to myself.
The Diary of Ben Stacey.
Oh, it's horrendous. Some of the ideas are terrible. And then come back. I'll do my fasted cardio in the morning, have my first meal, and then straight to work. And then I do all my check-ins with my clients first thing in the morning. Because if I tried to flip it and do my training in the morning, they get an exhausted version of me. And I'm terrible. Can't function, can't talk properly. You know, I stumble on my words, can't think straight. Because as you know from your bodybuilding days, we go in.
Yeah, I know. People go, oh, yeah, I used to take it pretty seriously. Like, you're like, trust me, mate, if you'd have been at Evolution or Performance.
Yeah, back in the day.
No, mate. Whatever you were doing and whatever that was going on, they ain't the same.
Yeah.
I guarantee
100%, that. Yeah, 100%. So for me, I do all of that first, and then my training is my time. I will, at the moment, I coach a little bit on a couple of days a week in the evening, 1-to-1, but the majority of what I do is online. They get the fresh version of me straight in the morning. I train, coach my clients, and that's me done for the day. I can't, if I put that training in the morning, then my clients get a different version of me because I'm done after training.
I try and be really, I'm still trying to work this out, to be honest, what's the best version, because I do a lot of calls first thing, 6 a.m, sometimes earlier, but mostly 6 a.m. starts with Australia, which works nicely because I crack through 2 or 3 hours with them back to back to back, and I'm done my work day and I've crushed it.
Yeah.
But then you do give all your prime energy, brain time to other people.
Yeah.
Versus like yourself or projects. I'm trying to work out the right blend of, and I don't have enough time off. Like, I don't have anything to do, so I'm either working or doing something to do with, spinning millions of plates. Self-inflicted, of course. I'm trying to manage the energy because as much as I get up and go for it, some days the batteries are starting to just cognitively, you don't have as much as you did when you started. So I'm still trying to work that out. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I guess try and error.
I think the right answer, Ben, is, and I say this to myself when I say Ben as much as I say you, is take a fucking day off.
It's hard though, isn't it?
Yeah. As a coach, it almost feels impossible. I put literally this week, I've put a message out on my team WhatsApp to say that unless it's an absolute emergency, no more messages on Sundays. That's Sundays are for my family because I am sick of my missus looking at the top of my head. You know, and you want to give yourself this to these people. I'm passionate about helping people. But we go back to what we said before. You can't help them if you're not looking after you. And the burnt out version of you after doing 10, 12, 15, 16 weeks straight at 6 a.m. trying to do calls to Australia, those people deserve better. Do you know what I mean? And they will only get better if you look after you. And you look after you by taking at least one, ideally two.
I try to put some play afternoons in, like go and do something more fun with someone that's like takes my mind out of. 100%. So then we're going to get the thumbnail, and then we're going to run that through and then what do you think to...
the same way that I'd argue that my training is me time. That's my downtime, even though I'm absolutely sending it. That's the time where I don't think about anyone else. I'm 110% selfish in that hour and a half is that time. But that's not an actual break.
Yeah, the Ironman stuff, doing 5-6 hour bike rides, you know, you got a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
The high rocks, like, you're absolutely caked.
Yeah.
Like, different from obviously the bodybuilding stuff. Different, very different. It's different. So people listening to this, if they're thinking this, you know, obviously a mental health advocate, but that's not the work you do necessarily. That's not the prime goal people hire you for. Right?
No.
So what is the prime goal people hire you for? Like if someone's listening to this and they go, I like this guy, what does he actually do? Who does he coach? How does he help people?
Hi, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. 2 things. These conversations are sometimes quite long, so we've split them into 2 parts. To get access to part 2, plus all the behind the scenes and never before seen footage and exclusive material before anybody else, hit the subscribe button now and download your free VIP studio pass into your mobile wallet. To do that, go to theheartofitpodcast.com/pass. Second thing, as you can see, I'm in a purpose-built studio. I'm a coach and I'm recording a podcast to grow our audience, reach new people, all whilst building trust and authority in our niche. This studio is owned by a 7-figure coach, a company that I'm partnered with who help other coaches to grow and scale their coaching businesses online. If you're a coach, author, speaker, or expert in your field, and you'd like to see how the performance of this podcast translates into business revenue, as well as how much we make from the YouTube monetization and podcast sponsorship deals, just like this one, download the Podcast to Profit Guide, which you can do at theheartofitpodcast.com/podcast profit. Now, back to the episode.
So what is the prime goal people hire you for? Like if someone's listening to this and they go, I like this guy, what does he actually do? Who does he coach? How does he help people?
So I don't have a niche. And I'm very passionate about that. A lot of times with online coaches, you know, these gurus and things, and some of them I really get on with, but they will tell you need to pick your niche and coach. Let's say, for example, men aged between 18 and 25 that want to go to IB for in the summer, right? So you get them all their IB for abs ready for the summer, so they all look ridiculous, right? That's not me. I coach people that are passionate about their goal, okay? And that's their physical goal, whether that's competing in powerlifting, competing in strongman, which I have a history in, powerlifting and strongman, whether they're amateur or novice bodybuilders, first timers, or what we often refer to as lifestyle clients. And a lifestyle client is just someone who is very passionate about getting in shape, feeling good. That doesn't necessarily mean to be like, it could be like ripped up and in the best shape of their life for a photo shoot. It could be in the best shape of their life for a birthday. But 9 times out of 10, what they're actually trying to do is ground themselves again, find themselves again, get in shape. And the most important thing is feel good. And one of the most rewarding things that I do is oftentimes people, initially they'll come to me just for your basic stuff, fat loss, right? They want to lose some weight. And then the journey starts to unfold after then as to what they really, really want, right? But what I love to do and what I love to try and give to people is the sense of accomplishment that I've had in my life. Like, have you ever done something in your life that you were that fucking proud of yourself that you just burst into tears? You know, and I did that. You know, my competed for the first time in bodybuilding this year, and something I'd wanted to do from the age of 16, 17 after coming across yourself and some of the other bodybuilders back in the old New Image gym back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, seeing all the big boys in there. I was like, I want to be a bodybuilder.
I was one of the big boys.
You was, yeah, bless you. I wanted to be a bodybuilder. Turned my back on that at the age of 20. Got, as most young lads are.
Because you got lean. Do you remember? Your mental health went to shit.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I had abs, but I had no mental health. Become a bodybuilder, mate. No, I was like, do it.
I turned my back on it because, like most young lads at that age, very, very insecure. You know, I was training because I was insecure, and you know, you think I'm going to build these muscles and then I ain't going to be insecure no more. No, you become more insecure. You hate the way you look even more. And that happened very, very quickly. And I was like, no, I'm going to take up strength sports because no one cares what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
You just get fucking strong. And I went down that route for a fair few years. But deep, deep down, I wanted to be a bodybuilder.
Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder. Yeah, buddy.
You know.
Like David Lloyd's people, when you start yelling things in the gym, mate, they're not about that life.
No.
Because like I feel like there's something wired in me when that leg press, and obviously I can still leg press a lot. I got a video actually the other day, leg pressing tons, and people are like, I'm like, not even I can't help the quotes start coming out. It's like programmed in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I've had to educate some people in the gym. I hate that. Educate yourself. I've had to help some people in the gym with trying to, because I scream and shout when I'm in the gym, right? As, you know, I'm sure you did when you was bodybuilding, right? And what's that? What's all the grunting about? What's it all about? Have you watched tennis? That's all I say. Have you watched tennis? Mm-hmm. Because when you're exerting maximum force, especially in an environment that's inevitably fucking terrifying with the weights that you're shifting, you don't give a shit in that moment what anyone else thinks of you. Because you fight or flight in that moment.
Yeah, especially when you've got like a proper grunt on you, like I've got a bit of a weird noise.
Yeah.
And people are like, I'm not thinking about you.
Yeah, you're not, are you though? Nah. And for me, that's why training's so special, because it's the only environment where I can do that, where I'm not focused on anything other than myself, usually because of the risks with the weights that we lift and so on.
Interesting. So I didn't interrupt. Someone said to me when I told them about the Ironman, the first thought, which girl have you met that's doing that?
Yeah.
I can see why you'd think that. But it's actually not the case. Didn't meet any females pretty much doing that. I didn't want to get me for anything. No, literally all like just people from the gym, men. Then they said, obviously, I'm not a cardio person like you. I'm not
100%. I fucking hate the stuff. Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even walk to the shop, like you drive to the shop. And they were like, but I know that this really meant something to me, especially from the person it came from. They said, I know you. You will decide you're going to do anything. You're going to go, you give it 100%. That's why you always make things happen. Because you just go, I'm doing it.
Yeah. And
I did do it. And so what you're saying there, like maximum effort. Every single day, whether it's a training thing or anything else, I want it. Sometimes I was in the past destructive. Now, caveated with like, make sure you don't destroy everything else in the process.
Yeah.
But I think that's the difference when you're coming from like performance sport, competitive sport. You said the tennis thing, they absolutely want to win.
Yeah.
And obviously with bodybuilding or anything like this, we're after it.
Yeah.
After it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so special that people don't get.
No. I like what you said about that individual and what they said to you. I imagine people probably have said that to an older version of you, and it probably didn't resonate. And I had that once from, and she's probably the only person that's ever said it to me, or if she is the only person that said it to me, it's the only person that said it to me and it's resonated. And it's funny that how sometimes you can hear things 10 times, but it clicks once. And then everything changes.
Yeah.
And that happened for me when I was at drama school, training to be an actor. And I decided that I didn't want to be involved in the industry anymore. Like, hell no. I saw what those people had to do to try and make it.
Yeah.
And I'm not about that life. I like having a dog and a house, to be honest with you. They can't have that because you're up and down the country, you're in digs, you're in hotels, you're doing shit job after shit job trying to make it. That wasn't for me. But after, 3 years at drama school, did performing arts all the way through school, A-star student, everyone said I was incredible. Everyone's made it come so naturally to you. And a lot of that is because I spent a lot of my years having the piss taken out of me. So I wasn't really scared to get on stage because what are they going to do? Laugh at me. They do that anyway.
Yeah.
I could not care less, which is probably one of the most powerful things that's ever happened to me without even realising. Part of the reason why, none of this set up or sitting here with you and talking into this thing none of it bothers me. But yeah, I was very concerned about turning my back on my career as an actor, thinking that I was making a big mistake and everyone was going to be let down. And Trudy Bell is her name, one of my drama teachers or acting teachers at the time, sat down and said exactly the same thing to me. She's like, Ben, it literally doesn't matter what the hell you do. When you've got your mind fixated on something, it's going to happen.
Might take a little longer than you hoped. Might go a little bit different to what you'd expected.
100%.
But you're going to get there.
100%.
And same that point when I wrote the book, people have asked me, are you sure you want to share some of this stuff? Because some of it's, as you've heard, a lot. And it is a little, I think there are many reasons why I think I originally started the whole thing. But what are you going to say about me now?
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Yeah.
This is me sharing things that you will never know.
Yeah.
Unless I told you.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, as you've heard.
Yeah.
Things that people don't share publicly about.
Yeah.
I'm going to go,
do you know what I find really powerful about it, Ben? And you've probably not even thought about this, right? But people will eventually see these podcasts and they'll go, oh, that's fucking Ben Edwards, guy from Lincoln. Oh, he used to do X, Y, and Z. And then the person next to him go, oh, yeah, I know, it's all in his book. Do you know what I mean? There's no hiding you no more.
Yeah.
And I think that's fucking beautiful, mate.
And I spent my life hiding in different ways.
Yeah.
Chameleoning, whatever. And who I thought I had to be.
Yeah.
Not consciously.
Yeah.
When I just didn't know what happened to me as a kid in all those early years, trying to adapt and try and whatever. And now I've never had so much belonging all my life.
Yeah.
From just being me. People are just the ones I've got in my life, like I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Just from, they don't want
How fucking freeing is it just to be yourself?
Mate, to tell people, like, some of my stuff and people sit with me like they have in the last year.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, you're not trying to be no one. They actually know you.
Yeah.
And when people have, like, quoted back my own ethoses at me, like, one that's helped them, but then they're like, hey, man, this is not you being brave with your life. I'm like, I don't believe in that. Show me back, like, what the last quote, and I'll ask you this question when we end. I'll ask you it right now. The last trip I've told you a few of the ethoses, the chapters. The last one is, who do you want to be when nobody's looking? Because it's really easy to do the right thing when it's the easy thing and it goes over each other. It's much harder to do the right thing when it's the straight up opposite of what you want to do and the easy thing to do. And I always ask myself that question, like, would you do this if everyone was watching you? Would this actually in line with the things? Because I say to people, all of this great stuff I now talk about is not practicing, not preaching. This is me every day in a street fight.
Yeah.
To not naturally want to steamroller people and just actively have to try. It doesn't come always easy to me. People think it does. But that's why I'm always sharing. It's not. It's not a thing I've always been good at. This is a newfound, learned through significant pain.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose people anymore. I hurt people anymore. And I think that's where I'm so driven by those things.
100%. I think if I was to answer that question, I'd give you a one-word answer, and that's happy. Because the old Ben, you, used to pretend to be fucking happy when he wasn't, and used to have to take diazepam to go to sleep. The old version of me used to have to take shitloads of caffeine to be up for my clients, and be passionate and whatever, and denied myself certain things because of what I thought people would think of me. And only when you are truly yourself and you're 100% being yourself with no fucking apologies are you genuinely happy. And that's what I want to be behind closed doors. I don't give a shit whether, what I'm doing, whether I'm bodybuilding or, running a successful coaching business, or as long as I'm genuinely happy deep down in here, that's all that fucking matters, because that's what genuine success looks like. I don't give a shit what anyone says, whether they think that owning a yacht is successful, whether you're one of the Tate brothers and you're throwing money around rollies and cars, and that's not success to me. That's not success. I came across men back in the trade that worked their jobs, went back to their wives, went on holiday. A certain a certain lad, I know his dad, I used to work with his dad, he springs to mind, fucking loves Whitby in York, goes like probably 12 to 15 times a year. Guy loves it, loves a Guinness, and is happy. And I felt so warm and comfortable around that man because he was genuinely really fucking happy, had all his values in the right place, proper family man, no consideration for his health, bless him, but happy. And I'm like, fuck, how good must that feel?
I'm still yet to find that.
Same.
Absolutely, yeah, I know.
Same.
It's a pursuit, I think, versus an achievement of happiness. You don't get to happy and then stay there.
No.
And I think that's why these, taking these actions every day, behaviours, being around the people we talked about and doing all the things we've mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
What is happiness? What is that? And I'm not being pessimistic, but I'm like, how do you, where, you learn, I think I've learned to deal with, as in learn to live with things.
Mm.
How can you, I struggle with, I don't get me wrong, I'm in a much better place, and my day-to-day life is, obviously what people don't know from public, what goes on behind, and the restrictions and all the other things that I've got going on is enormous. Mm-hmm. And the impact it's had is enormous. And I don't know what real life's like anymore. It's, that's a long time ago that I've had a normal life. A long time. That's a massive anxiety-producing thing.
Yeah.
Enormous. I'm not saying I've got no hope. I do have hope. But I guess I don't know why I said that. I didn't want to be inauthentic and say, I'm definitely happy. I'm not.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
And for me, I get a lot of comfort off because naturally with a lot of mental health issues, there's overcomplications, massive amounts of overthinking. So I strip back and simplify all the fucking time to myself and to my clients. And I strip this back to you. The pursuit to be genuinely happy is exactly the same as the pursuit to have 20-inch arms. And you'll know exactly what that's like. You know what I mean? 17 years old, got 10-inch noodles. You're like, how the fuck do people have...
a lorry car, like, what?
Yeah, how is that possible?
What is that?
Like, I don't understand. But I'm doing bicep curls and mine don't look like that. How do you figure it out?
Then you go in the gym with him and find out that what you're doing, what you've been doing, ain't what he's doing.
Yeah. And then you start doing what he's doing.
And suddenly...
But then even you're doing what he's doing 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
You still ain't got 20-inch arms yet, bro.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take you 2 years. It takes 10, it takes 15, it takes 20, it takes 30. And that's exactly the same when it comes to mending your mental health. And it goes back to what I mentioned before about skill. Pay the skill respect. Respect that if you're trying to mend something, a part of you, that isn't going to happen in 6 weeks.
It's not an overnight thing.
It's
a pursuit. You have to commit to a pursuit.
Yeah.
Certainly with when I committed to the pursuit of therapy and all the rest of it, I was not like, I'm going to be done after this. When I had the realisation, you mentioned a few things earlier on, I forgot this, what came up for me. Came off a work call, and I walked in and my friend sat there and he said, good call. And I was like, he wants me to do blah, 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 blah. And then, I know what's going to happen is I'm going to do all that, and then he's going to do it himself. And I was like, he'd catch himself saying something that someone else used to say to me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, and that happened to me time and time again. And I was like, I started to get it more and more and more. And then you go, what on earth was I doing? Yeah. And you catch yourself. Those realizations, they'll get you. They will get you.
Yeah.
But it's a pursuit. You have to just, it was a need for me. It wasn't like, I fancy doing a bit of self-actual realizations. Yeah. It was like, I have to find out what's going on. Yeah. And there was no other route. Yeah. Apart from through.
Yeah. 100%. You're ironing out little bits of yourself, piece at a time, figuring stuff out, getting stuff wrong, making a mistake, rebuilding.
Literally how the book goes. Like there's a quote, then the 3 stories that like almost bring it to life. And then like, so I think I learned this thing, then this happened, then this, then I fucked it up over here. And then you have to learn this other thing, which I'm going to teach you now. Yeah. And then this happened. So like, that thing, you can't use that thing in that situation, you have to use it. Yeah. Because I'm the autistic style brain, like, just use, once I've learned the strategy, I'll go, right, every situation will be the same. No, it's not. Humans and other people's feelings are not the same, they're not. So I got taught, I thought through feelings. unless he's feeling them. I almost was like, I recognise this thought, I'll think round it.
Yeah.
Where I wasn't feeling them. So when I learned that was a whole new thing, as you'll read. A bloodbath.
Yeah.
But it's a process.
Yeah. I mean, again, I refer back to bodybuilding because I reference bodybuilding so much because it is just like one big metaphor, I find. And we've had this conversation before. How many years into training did you realise how to train your back?
What, me?
Yeah.
Never. You still get to train.
I remember you specifically said to me you had a training session with Laurie where Laurie helped you actually find your back.
Yep.
And you had like DOMs the next day for the first time in your back, but you've been training for like a decade up until that point.
Yeah. My arms almost tripled in size when I had all right arms, but like weight, engage. Now, I ain't trained weights really for 3 or 4 years. People go, how do you still? I'm like, well, because when I do go in there, I engage them.
Yeah.
Because I know how to train.
Yeah.
And then obviously we give a few tips to people. They're like, oh my God, because you don't know until someone like that freakazoid is like, oh, just push the bar like this, but don't actually move your hand. You have to do this thing. And then you just move your hand like that.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my, what is that?
There it goes.
There it goes.
Yeah. And this is exactly the same as what you just said about your book. Like, you think you've got it sussed, and then you realise you fucking haven't. And then you have to start again and rebuild, figure stuff out. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's for that situation and that's for that. And that's completely different. And then you get a new situation thrown into the mix. Well, how do I deal with that now? And that's a big part of what life is. And as long as you respect it as a skill and respect that it takes time, and every single time you go through these phases, a lot of them being not fun, you're picking something up, you're learning something, you're adding something to your basket. Do you know what I mean? And that's for next time. Do you know? And this is a big thing that I take on and try to explain to my clients to stop them getting so frustrated and leaving. Because this happens. You think, oh, right, we're going to do a 12-week fat loss block. Brilliant. They're going to get in wicked shape for the holiday, and then someone in the family dies. Do I sack it off? Do I give in? Do I keep going? I don't want to go to the gym though. And it's just another learning curve. It's like, this is going to happen again and again and again.
That's what I was saying. It's so much easier to do the right thing. It's going coincides with the easy thing. It's much harder to do it when it's not. Like whether it's going to the gym because someone died, or showing up for your clients when you've got things going on, or blah blah blah. It's harder to be. But then it backs that question: who do you want to be?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be someone who's compassionate to people.
Yeah.
In spite of my own shit.
Yeah.
Because I know what it hurts.
Yeah. Again, going back to who do I want to be? Happy, because I know that the things that right now I don't want to do because I'm hurt are the things that when I'm okay, I very much want to do. We numb off, don't we, when we're hurting? I've been like it for the last few weeks since Nan passed and dealing with mum and so on. All of the things that usually appeal to me, silly stuff like going to the garden centre with the missus and my son to go and get a bit of cake and whatever. I'm not bothered, not interested. And I know deep down that's just this wave of negativity that sat on me that makes me feel that way about something I know I actually really fucking enjoy. So what do? We fucking go anyway. We go anyway. And the same with the gym, same with my cardio in the morning. I fucking hate this shit. We go anyway. That alarm gets up in the morning. Do we snooze it? No, we go anyway. Because if you keep showing up through those tough times, you're rebuilding your happiness again. Does that make sense?
100%. I remember someone telling me a story in the sauna. A man. It wasn't complaining. Well, it was a little bit complaining. Just mentioned their garden centre. I told him a story. He obviously knows my stuff, so I told him a story. Said, so they have that. You do you, mate. But if I had the opportunity to go and do that on a Sunday, I would not give.
Yeah.
And then people go, I think I'll go and I'm going to nip home now and...
Yeah.
Yeah, do that, mate.
Yeah.
Do that.
100%.
Appreciate you, totally.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
No, thank you for your time.
Where can people find you if they want to find you?
Instagram, Coach Ben Stacey.
That sounds mighty familiar. Guys, wonder where he's got that genius coat name.
I was there first.
Was you actually?
Don't know. No, to be fair, you had a hiatus, so you were probably there long before me. But your followers suggest you were there longer before me. No, Coach Ben Stacey on Instagram. Probably something the same on Facebook, although I just use Instagram to shuttle onto Facebook. I don't really look at it. Yeah. And then Team Stacey on YouTube, where you can watch me being a goof in the gym. And every now and then I'll drop a knowledge bomb, but for the most part, I'm just being an idiot.
Love that. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, brother. Me too. Massively. It's actually been really fucking helpful. I might actually take up some therapy. Genuinely, because I don't.
Well, I did share with you some of the shit. Best thing I ever did. And I remain to do that forever. Some form of something.
Yeah.
There is nothing like when you are, even if you're not in deep struggle, when you're in deep struggle, someone to see you, to hold you and let you go through the different, rumblings of trying to place things and figure out things you don't even know are there, mate. I didn't even know these things at all. If I had not had that, I would not anywhere near be this person.
Yeah.
I think it's, for your son, for everyone who knows you, clients and all, mate, it's unbelievable.
Because the Ben Edwards I used to know wouldn't have gone to therapy. Hell no.
We went to, me and Joe came on here. We went to Josh's studio in Leeds. That's what inspired all this. Josh has known me a long time. And I can't remember, Joe said something while she was getting, ready and was, setting up the cameras and everything else. And Josh just goes, whoa, bro got woke. We both just burst out of tears. Like, Joe was like, her experience of me has always been like this. Josh was like, if you knew the Ben.
Yeah.
He would not be saying whatever he just said.
Hell no.
Bro got woke.
Yeah.
Best thing ever, mate.
Yeah. Because I remember you used to, I don't know if it's still running or what, but I'm not that worried.
Carry on.
You used to have, you weren't even, maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not. You used to have this face where you could tell you were like leaving the room.
Right.
And I seen it. I never spoke to anyone about it, don't get me wrong, but I used to see it. And you'd pierce your lips and start to squint. And you can see I'd be like talking about something like we're talking now. And I'm like, Ben's gone. And my sister does the same. She fucking ignores me when I'm talking to her. And it's not that you're ignoring me, you're going. Like your head was just fading. And you'd pinch your lips. And in my head, I'm like, wrap this up and go. Because Ben's gone. And just in an instant, you'd start to turn, 100% checking out. It's like, dude's done for the day, I need to leave. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't that you was going to say anything aggressive or anything like that, but I was like, I could tell that conversations were done. You were done for the day, mentally, physically, that's it, it's all over.
I was never encouraged a safe space where you could have told me that, because I didn't know people knew me.
Yeah.
I've now realised, I now know me more, still on the pursuit. Now people who share with me, who do feel obviously comfortable to share with me feedback. And now know, like, they say some of the same things in realisations like facial expressions or energy levels or things. And I'm like, not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
All the things I used to hear, I used to go, do you not know anything? Now I'm like, oh, fucking hell, I really did know.
Yeah.
Single, like clockwork. Ben's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this.
Yeah.
And then he's there.
Yeah. And I know that my wife could sit here and say that about me with nuances and certain things that I'll say and certain things that I'll do. And when I'm in certain frames of mind, the way that I'll behave and stuff. And it's important to recognise those and definitely unpick it massively, which is again, I think I will look into getting some therapy. For me, for my boy, 100%.
You just don't know what's going to come up. Like, I have no idea. If you had said to me what I found out, I'd have been like, made no difference. That's just I'm childhood or whatever.
Yeah. I think there's 3 reasons why people don't.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. 2 things. These conversations are sometimes quite long, so we've split them into 2 parts. To get access to part 2, plus all the behind the scenes and never before seen footage and exclusive material before anybody else, hit the subscribe button now and download your free VIP studio pass into your mobile wallet. To do that, go to theheartofitpodcast.com/pass. Second thing, as you can see, I'm in a purpose-built studio. I'm a coach and I'm recording a podcast to grow our audience, reach new people, all whilst building trust and authority in our niche. This studio is owned by a 7-figure coach, a company that I'm partnered with who help other coaches to grow and scale their coaching businesses online. If you're a coach, author, speaker, or expert in your field, and you'd like to see how the performance of this podcast translates into business revenue, as well as how much we make from the YouTube monetization and podcast sponsorship deals, just like this one, download the Podcast to Profit Guide, which you can do at theheartofitpodcast.com/podcast profit. Now, back to the episode.
I think there's 3 reasons why people don't. 1, they just don't believe in it. 2, they're scared, which is probably me, if I'm honest. Scared of what is going to come up, and where they go with that. And then the last one, and I know this is from my wife's point of view, she doesn't like the idea of going to therapy because she doesn't want to keep having to talk about stuff. And she feels as though you're constantly, she doesn't see the belief in solving the problem. She thinks you're just surfacing it all the time by talking about it, which obviously isn't the case. Otherwise, you'd still be stuck.
Well, there's many different types of therapy, right? So that's more counselling, which is a lot of delving around in the past.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of different types of therapy. I guess I've done DBT. I've done a few other things, but dialectical behavioural therapy. It's not CBT, DBT.
Oh, I thought it was drugs. I was getting excited. Tell me more.
DMT.
That's it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. That's the one they talk about on Joe Rogan and stuff all the time, isn't it?
Got some stories. As always. Lost my train of thought back into.
Sorry, you said you did some other DPT.
DBT.
Thank you.
And then so that's all about mindfulness, emotional regulation, effective communication. And I learned things, and I was like, "How was I doing life? How was I doing life without this?" I think everyone should be taught it at school.
Yeah.
To like understand that stuff is just a fucking fundamental for me. And then like attachment styles and all sorts of things, triggers that get you, so much. And then integrative therapy. So it's like a talking approach of like we're doing now.
Yeah.
I go something, and it's a therapist obviously guiding you through and learning to apply this in DBT, the skills.
Yeah.
To the manual, and you learn skills like checking the facts or wise mind. And so when you're learning a new skill of mental, emotional regulation, this has happened. For example, my reaction might be correct, as in I might be angry at this thing, but the level of anger shouldn't be a 10 out of 10, it should be a 6.
Yeah.
So you have this fact checker, then you have opposite action. If you're wrong, you do another skill. There's like you end up with a flow chart of like, if this, then that, then this, then that.
Yeah.
And then you role play and you rumble, like it was in role play, you rumble through this in real life.
Yeah.
And then you learn how to apply this, how it works,
Yeah.
when it works well. And then you learn about other people, as in like, I could do it with you, but if you don't know what the hell's going on, then it's a different thing that I've got to kind of think about. If we're all on the same level, we've all got the same shared language. If I taught you it or you went and did it and then talked to me about it, I'll be using the same language that you knew, so we could be on the same page.
Yeah.
So then when we're having a vulnerable, honest conversation, I'm like, bang, with a keyword or a phrase, and you're like, I need to, okay. Which then changes the relationship dynamic, because if you're all on the same page in a relationship or friendship or whatever, and I say to you, is it okay to challenge you? And you're up for this and we're ready, and you have boundaries and you have this safe space, then the communication just changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because someone's not picking at you to go, you don't do that thing.
Yeah.
You know how to communicate with each other because you've set this in advance that you know how to communicate, you know how to raise things with somebody, you know how to bring up an issue, you know how to communicate this. One of the other things is a thing called Dear Man. It's an acronym, Dear Man.
Yeah.
I was about to spell, I thought, just in case I fuck up the spelling.
It's getting late in the day.
Dear Man. And one of the things is ask what you need, ask what you're looking for the other person to do, basically. So if I give you something, if I say, I really, this upset me, how you said this, and, I'd like to blah, blah, blah. Then one of the last letters is to ask what I'd like you to do. So, Ben, what I'd like you to say to me is I'd like you to say sorry for what you said.
Yeah.
Or I'd like you to help me to work out where we go from here.
Yeah.
So you're not left with all this stuff on you going, he just put all that stuff on me, but I don't really know what he wants me to do with it. Yeah. This happened at the weekend, right? Someone messaged me something, and I said, what would you like me to do with that? And they don't know anything about DBT. Yeah. But the words from I was like, looking, instead of me trying to assume, guess. Yeah. Just clicking, what is it that you're expecting from me? Yeah. And they went, well, I just like this. I'm like, sure. Yeah. I'm happy to give that thing. Yeah. But if I hadn't known that and I hadn't asked that question...
Yeah, they're just coming at you for the sake of it.
But they weren't coming at me. They were talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
They were giving me information. They were communicating.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Well, what do you want me to do with it?
What is that? What is the expectation here?
Yeah.
Are you wanting me to turn up?
Yeah.
Are you wanting me to just go, attaboy?
Yeah.
What are you...
Yeah.
I just thought I'd tell you, mate, because I thought you might, think it's cool. Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I've told you, mate, because I'd really... If you could actually help me, got it. What do you need when?
Yeah.
So instead of you going, I just told Ben that thing and he didn't even... If you told me, what are you expecting from me? I'd love to chat with you if you've got 10 minutes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
7:30. This makes such a difference. This is one of many things I've learned. Communication's everything. Everyone's mismanaged expectations, shooting things that are not, saying things that other people aren't hearing, etc. This is the difference, mate.
Yeah. Well, we live in a world where people are communicating more but less.
Correct. Saying more, hearing less.
Yeah.
There's so much, as you said, things flying around, no one's being heard or seen.
Like, I need to ask my mum if she's all right. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and then my mum's going to read it. And yeah, fine. We've not actually checked in on each other.
But we tell ourselves, oh no, I did this thing.
Yeah.
Do you actually sit with them and find out if they're okay?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is like making sure that someone knows you actually want the answer. British thing.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm great, you?
Yeah. All right, sound, you? Yeah, sound. That's what I used to see every morning on the construction sites and stuff. And I'm like, you're all asking each other if you're all right. None of you are being honest. And none of you are actually asking because you care. It's just routine, script. Do you know what I mean?
And what I said before about encouraging an atmosphere where someone feels okay to say, actually, that thing you said.
Yeah.
And again, encouraging a way for them, hopefully they can communicate in a way that's not coming at you and therefore defences go up. But I got taught this Monday, it's Wednesday, 2 days ago. My therapist said to me, this is not manipulation from the other person I was talking about, just a friend. They said, this is an inability for them to communicate how to get their needs met.
Yeah.
Because if they were manipulating you, you wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So like this week's gone on and I'm like, it's happened. Clients do it. They do something and say something in a way like, and I'm now like, oh, you're not being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're just inability to communicate your needs.
Yeah.
So if I can come around and go, what are they trying to get? Let me ask them, what are you expecting from me?
Yeah.
So instead of me going, rah, 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 or any of the things with any of the people, just go, what are you looking to get here? Because most people can't communicate.
No.
And it's I certainly wasn't like the same level I am now.
No.
Makes such a difference for everything.
Yeah. And I think sometimes like the realization that you have to spoon feed people to help you. Do you know what I mean? Like I've had this conversation recently with my missus where I've mentioned before about how I struggle when I don't receive the same level of care that I'm giving out. The scenario is exactly the same because my missus said to me, she was like, oh, well, if you want, like, my mates barely text me, ask me if I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? And every now and then I'll message them and stuff, but it's very quiet. And it's just, like, one of my friends in particular, fucking love him to bits. So hard to get hold of him. Like, you drop him a message a week later, he might reply, shit, he might reply. Busy kid, right? But I'm like, why doesn't he care enough? And she's like, well, ask him when he's available for a call. And I'm like, no. She's like, and this is where I'm stubborn because I want you to call me or ask to call me because you give a fuck, not because I've told you to.
But we're at risk of putting a barrier. And that's anxious attachment, potentially.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm going to wait for you to...
Yeah.
From a childhood thing. Anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, anxious avoidant, which is disorganized, which is what I have, or secure. And then people who just have great relationships and good boundaries and everything, they're secure. Yeah. And everyone's a version of anxious avoidant, and all the different ways that kind of... Yeah. And this is what, people with healthy boundaries ask for what they need. Yeah. People aren't clairvoyant, nor are you. So if I said to you, mate, I'm really struggling, you didn't tell me. I wanted you to know and then guess and then text me. Yeah. That's what you're saying. Yeah. So to an extent, yeah. Well, yeah, not as extreme as that. Yeah, 100%. But people with healthy boundaries ask for what they need. Hey, mate, I need this thing from you. Yeah. And a friend goes, sure, what do you need? Yeah. The person who doesn't do that is waiting for the thing to happen. That's this unhealthy... Yeah. This is 100% what I need to shake. It's this like world's against you mentality.
of like, no one gives a fuck like I care. Because I will message people like you do now, because I'm very comfortable in myself. I will message people and be like, hey, let's go for a drink or let's sort something out.
Because I see people's story, and everyone uses social media like a social currency. I think it's ridiculous. I like everyone's stuff all the time. I'm like, I love that. Why would you not like someone playing with their kid on a train track? I'm like, cool. I love it all. I love everyone's stuff. People go, I'm not going to like that because I like their thing the other week, and I like everyone's stuff. Yeah. That I know, that I should know and get along with. Because who knows what's going on? You know, so they like my stuff back. I don't care. It's nice, don't get me wrong. But you know, you foster connections. Yeah. Most people are not used to, I'm learning, the level that I now show up at. And now I'm learning how to like, that's a new you'll read. Yeah. Oh, wait, I need to learn how to like navigate that now. Yeah. But I wouldn't know that it's struggling. I wouldn't know that. And it's really important that we can hold accountability, but responsible for asking for what we need from other people. Yeah, man. It's huge. Huge. That's mega. One of the lads who works at the gym, he asked me about his him and his brother game. He asked me about the YouTube channel, about something to the YouTube channel he's seen and stuff. He asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was on a Tuesday. On one of the days next week, his brother was found on Sunday. Fuck. And he's told me about a thing, and he's like, oh, mate, if he'd have said anything, like, nothing was said. Yeah. Nothing at all. So, like, back to that extreme context there. Yeah. But back on, like, people don't know unless you tell them. Yeah. And they'd give anything for you to tell them. Yeah. They'd give anything for you to say, fucking hell, I'm struggling. Yeah. It's just having the trust that the care is there. So you just have to sort of press the button for it to avail itself a little bit. And also be okay with if that person doesn't meet you where you need them. Yeah. Then they can't give you that level of support. And that comes back nicely to what you're saying about people who are doing the best they can. Yeah. People were not able to show up for me how I needed them to or wanted them to during some of the times for me. I don't care for them any less. But now it's opened to foster the connections and the relationships I now have with people who can hold space. Yeah. And it's developed me further. So it's nothing to do with that person wasn't able to do that for me. Yeah. They had their own things or their other things they didn't know or they weren't able to. But they were doing the best they could. Yeah. And now I've got to do the best I can for people. Yeah. Change is construct of everything. The reason why I'm able to give the level of care I can to my wife, my son, my clients, my family is because of the skills I have and who I've chose to become. And it comes back to what my missus tells me all the time, that people don't think like me. And that's not that they're any lesser than me. Fuck no. They just haven't chose to go down the route that I've gone down, which is almost identical to yourself. Do you know what I mean? You have this ability to be able to have this level of care with people because if they're struggling or whatever, you know what that's like. And you know, to an extent, what their needs are going to be before they've even asked for them. And then I know for my own personal development, I need to stop having that expectation of others, you know, because I think what doesn't help, and I'll say this openly on camera, that it's almost like a blessing for me to have this conversation with you today because I don't have a Ben. I don't have a me. My clients have me. My wife has me. My son has me. My mum has me. I have no one. You know, and that's where I wish I had a dad. Yeah. So I could have that one person to lean on and go, bruv, what the fuck do I do with that? Who's going to get it? Yeah. Who can hold space for that thing? Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm here for you, man. 100%. Anytime you need me, I'm here. 100%. And the thing is, Ben, is you always have been as well. Like man to man, you always have been. Even when you were a bit of a dick back in the day, you always give me time and space. And that's because you knew who you were deep down. There was just a facade over the top when you needed it. Yeah. You know? I remember we were on a driveway in Lincoln. And I said to somebody, if I'm such a fucking dickhead. And they went, because somewhere in there. And I had that realisation. I was like, that's what they meant. Yeah. And I realised, as you said, it was there. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have been able to be that. I couldn't be this now if I wasn't that then. Yeah. I think people need people. And what you said there, like, people need to know it's an option. You know, like you didn't know I'm an option.
No.
And people wouldn't have known I'm an option.
No.
Until you step up and say like, doors open.
Yeah.
You know, you do it for your clients.
100%.
But no one knows, like they might listen to your videos, but they just probably assume you've got someone or people don't know.
No.
People don't know until we tell them. They don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to not, so I'm not sat up there saying I've done all this stuff and now I'm cracked.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Still a street fight every day. Still me wrestling. Sometimes I feel like X and Y and still trying every day. And I need people too. It's not a club of I've cracked it. And that's really hard for, especially for me, like getting down off the pedestal and be like, I've used to people putting me on it and putting myself on it and loving it all. Now I'm like, let me get down with everyone else and be like, oh, the same as you. Different.
Yeah.
But the same.
Yeah.
Same battles, same things. Maybe I've learned different strategies to you and whatever else, but effectively same things. I want people to text me and care about me, which they now do. But I went first. I was like, hey, like, let me just show up absolutely ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
And the right people have stepped in and they did. And I asked people, hey, this is what I'm needing. This is what I'm needing. And then I found the ones who I know how to communicate with, and I found this thing and made a powerful thing. It come from therapy. It come from being open. It came from conversations like this. This is why it's all here. Because someone will be listening to this one day, and you hopefully and me, like hopefully now we can connect and have a really strong friendship.
Yeah, man.
And hopefully this will help a lot of people.
100%.
And if someone has to point and go, bam at me, well, so be it.
Yeah.
So be it.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's a great episode, man.
Hi. 2 things. These conversations are sometimes quite long, so we split them into 2 parts. To get access to part 2, plus all the behind the scenes and never before seen footage and exclusive material before anybody else, hit the subscribe button now and download your free VIP studio pass into your mobile wallet. To do that, go to theheartofitpodcast.com/pass. Second thing, as you can see, I'm in a purpose-built studio. I'm a coach and I'm recording a podcast to grow our audience, reach new people, all whilst building trust and authority in our niche. This studio is owned by a 7-figure coach, a company that I'm partnered with who help other coaches to grow and scale their coaching businesses online. If you're a coach, author, speaker, or expert in your field, and you'd like to see how the performance of this podcast translates into business revenue, as well as how much we make from the YouTube monetization and podcast sponsorship deals, just like this one, download the Podcast to Profit Guide, which you can do at theheartofitpodcast.com/podcast profit.